Cristiano Ronaldo, the fading power of the narcissist. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I'm going to explain to you the effect upon a narcissist as he experiences the fading of his powers. You may not care for football or Cristiano Ronaldo. However, I would still encourage you to embrace the content of this video, since it will provide you with unparalleled insight into how the diminution and dimming of the narcissist's powers has a terrible and terrifying impact on the narcissist. Many narcissists are useless, let's be frank. The lower lessers, the middle lessers, many mid-rangers, lower mid-range, middle range A and middle range B, invariably complicate other people's lives and add very little else. Self-absorbed, sulking, cowardly, violent, disruptive, problematic. There's drama wherever they go. Relationships are damaged. Lives are put on hold to deal with the problems generated by this person. And if there were a way of calculating what that person provides to the world as against the problems that they create, they would certainly find themselves with a negative balance. Nevertheless, there are many narcissists also, a notable cohort, that are exceptional. There's no denying that they will still cause problems, make demands upon people, have very difficult personal lives in some instances, but these individuals create magnificent music, build fantastic companies employing thousands, entertain millions around the globe. They inspire, they entertain, they create, they lead, and thus, notwithstanding the difficulties that they generate, for certain people, not all, they are admired, worshipped, even loved. Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't particularly have the personality to get an outside observer on his side, unless, of course, you admire his sheer work ethic, which is driven by his narcissism, his ultra-disciplined dedication, which is driven by his narcissism, and desire to be the best football player ever. All of this is at the expense of any real relationship, both intimate or friend. He doesn't have the charm of Brazilian Ronaldo, nor the cool dude capacity of Mbappe or Neymar in his early years. He doesn't have the enigmatic, detached introspection of Lionel Messi. Ronaldo has shown an inability to recognize either where his declining ability fits him into his teams of 2022, and in the past an inability to recognize the achievements of smaller teams in his path, such as Iceland and Atletico Madrid. On field, he has been an incredible champion. In longevity, sheer number of goals scored, his ability to bring three of his teams to the very top, Manchester United, Real Madrid and Portugal, the least likely of the three, and curiously, the only major star since perhaps Pelé who was any good at using his head to score goals. Since winning the Champions League in his final game with Real Madrid in 2018, the last 5 club seasons have admittedly not gone so well for Ronaldo. Arguably, the 3-month pandemic pause in 2020 is a neat cut-off point after which he stopped being able to win elite matches single-handedly. An indicator of the diminution of his powers, but not one that he would accept. Notwithstanding this, in 2021, he was the Golden Boot winner for the highest score of the European Championship played in June 2021, albeit he did so via a number of penalties. He was also, alongside Messi, who transferred to PSG, the highest profile club transfer of the 2021 off-season, moving from Juventus to Manchester United. He also rescued 4 Champions League matches in a row for Manchester United with late goals from September to November in 2021. But thereafter, his show has smacked straight into a wall. Analyst Michael Cox summed up 2020's Ronaldo best when he reasoned that any team with him on it will start the match a goal up, but a man down, as Ronaldo was guaranteed to score most matches, but had become too old to help with any defensive pressing. And of course, his narcissism would tell him that the glory was in the goals, that when the back of the onion bag rippled as a consequence of his shot, and the crowd cheered and roared, all of which, of course, providing him with fuel, this obviated him to have any obligation to assist with defensive pressing. He was there for the glamour. He was there to do the sexy stuff. The cart horse was the defence, not him. They were the ones that had to put in the work with regard to the defensive pressing. While his league goal stats were a more than healthy 30, even in his final year with Juventus in 2021, Juventus declined from heavily chasing Champions League titles from 2015 to 2018 to being booted by Ajax, Lyon and Porto, a clear Tier B in Ronaldo's 3 years with them. Further evidence of the decline. Eventually, in 2022, the decline, hastened by Manchester United's dreadful post-Sir Alex Ferguson dysfunction, spread from Ronaldo's teams around him to his own game. Whatever the insipid City of Manchester turf wars, Ronaldo will bitterly regret, or at least one would think that he would, not joining Pep Guardiola's Manchester City in 2021 for one more attempt at what playing for an elite club feels like under the guru of 21st century coaching and methodology. Of course, one would think that he would regret not doing so, but with him as a narcissist, he has no regrets. He would only ever speak of such regrets in order to manipulate. They are never genuine. Stars often age in 2 ways. The types who rely heavily on their pace and athleticism to be stars suddenly fall off a cliff at a certain point of their careers, such as Thierry Henry, who prematurely decamped from Europe to the USA aged 33. Ronaldo, whilst an excellent dribbler and shooter, could in the past always count on his pace and magnificent leap, but no longer. Notwithstanding his slavish devotion to looking after his body and undeniable talent, Cristiano Ronaldo is no longer able to remain at the peak of his powers as age takes its toll and younger players encroach on his domain. This, of course, could be difficult for any elite athlete to accept, but for a narcissist such as Cristiano Ronaldo, to experience this fading of the powers is particularly tortuous. In order to understand the impact that this has on Cristiano Ronaldo, it's important for us to take some time to appreciate the pinnacle that this individual had reached, the sheer brilliance that he had climbed to, driven, of course, by his narcissism, which urged him on to be the best time and time again. So that he looked after his body, that he trained, that he practiced to ensure that he was seen as the best. Because in order to appreciate just how high he has climbed, you're able to appreciate just how terrifying the fall is to one such as him, as a consequence of the decline of those once legendary powers. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was born on the 5th of February 1985. He's a Portuguese professional footballer who currently plays as a forward and captains both Saudi Pro League club Al Nassr and the Portugal national team. Widely regarded as one of the greatest players of all time, he has won 5 Ballon d'Or awards, a record 3 UEFA Men's Player of the Year awards, and 4 European Golden Shoes, the most by a European player. He has won 33 trophies in his career, including 7 league titles, 5 UEFA Champions Leagues, the UEFA European Championship, and the UEFA Nations League. He holds records for the most appearances, 183, goals, 140, and assists, 42, in the Champions League. Most appearances, 25, assists, 8, goals in the European Championship, 14. International goals and international appearances, 130 and 208 respectively. He is one of the few players to have made over 1,200 professional career appearances, the most by an outfield player, and has scored over 890 official senior career goals for club and country, making him the top goal scorer of all time. Record after record, which underpins, reinforces, and emphasizes his status of believing himself to be the best. He began his senior career with Sporting CP before signing with Manchester United in 2003, winning the FA Cup in his first season. He would go on to win 3 consecutive Premier League titles, the Champions League and the FIFA World Cup. At age 23, he won his first Ballon d'Or. He was then subject to the then most expensive football transfer when he signed for Real Madrid in 2009 for £80 million. During his period at Real Madrid, he won 4 Champions League titles. He won back-to-back Ballon d'Or in 2013 and 2014, and again in 2016 and 2017, and was runner-up 3 times behind Lionel Messi, his perceived career rival. He became the club's all-time top goal scorer and the all-time top goal scorer in the Champions League, and finished as the competition's top scorer for 6 consecutive seasons between 2012 and 2018. With Real, he won 4 Champions League, 2 La Liga titles, 2 Copa del Rey, 2 UEFA Super Cups, and 3 Club World Cups. In 2018, he signed for Juventus in a transfer worth an initial £88 million, the most expensive transfer for an Italian club, and for a player over 30 years old. He won 2 Serie A titles, 2 Supercoppa Italiana trophies, and a Coppa Italia. He became the inaugural Serie A most valuable player, and became the first footballer to finish as top scorer in the English, Spanish, and Italian leagues. He returned to Manchester United in 2021, finishing his only full season as the club's top scorer before his contract was terminated in 2022. In 2023, he signed for Al Nassr. He made his international debut for Portugal in 2003 at the age of 18 and has earned more than 200 caps, making him history's most capped male player. With 130 international goals, he is also the all-time top male goal scorer. He's played in and scored at 11 major tournaments. He scored his first international goal at Euro 2004, where he helped Portugal reach the final. He assumed captaincy of the national team in July 2008. In 2015, he was named the best Portuguese player of all time by the Portuguese Football Federation. The following year, he led Portugal to their first major tournament title at Euro 2016 and received the Silver Boot as the second highest goal scorer of the tournament. This achievement would see him receive his 4th Ballon d'Or. He also led them to victory in the inaugural UEFA Nations League in 2019, receiving the top scorer award in the finals, and later received the Golden Boot as top scorer of Euro 2020. One of the world's most marketable and famous athletes, Ronaldo was ranked the world's highest paid athlete by Forbes in 2016, 2017 and 2023, the world's most famous athlete by ESPN from 2016 to 2019. Time included him on their list of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2014. He is the first footballer and the 3rd sportsman to earn US $1 billion in his career. Quite the list of achievements. That cannot be denied. The achievements speak for themselves. Interestingly, albeit somewhat unsurprisingly as to what he became, his background was not the best. He was born on the Portuguese island of Madeira. He's the 4th and youngest child of Maria Dolores dos Santos Viveiros de Aveiro. She worked as a cook, and of José Diniz Aveiro, a gardener, who was also a part-time kitman for the football club Andarina. He was named after actor and US President Ronald Reagan, who his father was a fan of. His mother revealed that she wanted to abort him due to poverty and his father's alcoholism and having too many children already. But her doctor refused to perform the procedure. Ronaldo grew up in an impoverished Roman Catholic home, sharing a room with all his siblings. He had a troubled life as a student, and he did not complete schooling beyond the 6th grade. Whilst he was popular with other students at school, he was expelled after throwing a chair at a teacher who he said had disrespected him. A year later, he was diagnosed with tachycardia, a condition that could have forced him to give up playing football. He underwent heart surgery, where a laser was used to cauterize multiple cardiac pathways into one, altering his resting heartbeat. He was discharged from the hospital hours after the procedure and resumed training a few days later. His mother once stated in an interview that her son would have been a bricklayer if he had not become a professional football player. Ronaldo has signed many sponsorship deals for consumer products, including sportswear, football boots. He's worn the Nike Mercurial Vapor personalized CR7 edition boots. He's been sponsored in relation to soft drinks, clothing, automotive lubricants, financial services, electronics, and video games. He features as a cover star of FIFA video game FIFA 18 and was heavily involved in the game's promotion. He was also the face of Pro Evo Soccer, appearing on the covers of the 2008, 2012 and 2013 editions of the game. With earnings of €720 million from 2010 to 2019, he was ranked second in Forbes' list of the decade's highest-paid athletes. Forbes twice ranked Ronaldo first on its list of the world's highest-paid footballers. His combined income from salaries, bonus and endorsements was $73 million in 2013-14, $79 million in 2014-2015. He is the first footballer and only third sportsman to earn $1 billion in his career. He's one of the world's most marketable sportsmen. Sports Pro rated him the 5th most marketable athlete in 2012 and 8th most marketable athlete in 2013. Sports market research company Repucom named Ronaldo the most marketable and most recognised football player in the world in May 2014. He's established a strong online presence, the most popular sports person on social media. He counted over 500 million total followers across Facebook, Twitter and Instagram by February 2021, making him the first person to pass 500 million followers. The most followed person on Facebook, 170 million, most followed on Instagram, 631 million, and most followed sports person on Twitter, 111 million. His sponsors earned $936 million in media value across his accounts between June 2016 and June 2017. In December 2011, he launched an iPhone game called Heads Up with Cristiano. Computer security company McAfee produced a 2012 report ranking footballers by the probability of an internet search for their name leading to an unsafe website, with Ronaldo's name first on the list. Demand for a replica Ronaldo shirt has been high throughout his career. In 2008, Ronaldo's number 7 Manchester United shirt was the best-selling Premier League sports product. In 2015, Ronaldo's number 7 Real Madrid shirt was the second best-selling worldwide, after Messi's number 10 Barcelona shirt. In 2018, within 24 hours of his number 7 Juventus shirt being released, over 520,000 had been sold, with $62.4 million generated in one day. Ronaldo opened a fashion boutique under the name CR7 on the island of Madeira in 2006 and opened a second in Lisbon in 2008. He's created a range of underwear and a sock line which was released in November 2013. He then expanded it in July 2014 with a line of premium shirts and shoes. He released his own fragrance in 2015 called Legacy. In 2007, CD Nacional renamed its youth campus Cristiano Ronaldo Campus Football. In December 2013, he opened a museum, Museo CR7, in his hometown of Funchal on Madeira, to house trophies and memorabilia. At a ceremony in January 2014, the President of Portugal raised Ronaldo to the rank of Grand Officer of the Order of Prince Henry to distinguish an athlete of world renown who has been a symbol of Portugal globally, contributing to the international projection of the country and setting an early example of tenacity for future generations. A bronze statue of Ronaldo was unveiled in Funchal on the 21st of December 2014. He was represented at a waxwork at Madame Tussauds in London. In June 2015, astronomers discovered a galaxy which they named Cosmos Redshift CR7 in tribute to Ronaldo. Following Portugal's triumph at Euro 2016, the airport in Madeira was renamed as Cristiano Ronaldo International Airport. This included a bust of his head being presented. Sporting CP's football academy was renamed Academia Cristiano Ronaldo. In 2023, the Lisbon City Council approved awarding him the Medal of Honour of the City because he's a great Lisboner in the sense of the passion he has for the city. It's important to provide you with that detail so you understand that Cristiano Ronaldo is a serial winner. Famous, adored, wealthy, his name and image is imprinted around the globe. He is a titan of football, a colossus who has repeatedly straddled the world and cried out, "Sui!" He's world famous, idolised, massively talented, hugely successful in terms of footballing achievements and financial reward, and is also a narcissist. In the world of Cristiano Ronaldo, he is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, superior to all other footballers, including his long-standing rivalry with Lionel Messi. His narcissism has driven him to maintain an extended playing career, sustain his health and physical prowess, continue to earn huge sums of money, to maintain his presence at the forefront of football fans around the world. But his narcissism has also become more and more exposed as his powers have begun to fade. Just recently, as the Euro 2024 competition has continued, his behaviour as a consequence of those fading powers has become all the clearer. Inexplicable moments, he declared, as portentously as you'd expect from a man who earns £2.5 million for each Instagram message sent to those 633 million followers. That was perhaps the politest way he could have described his own performance during Portugal's victory over Slovenia. A more fitting label, as you watch him designate every free kick for himself, more about that in due course, and throw his arms about in disgust, as Petar Stojanovic had the temerity to dispossess him, was inexcusable. At 39, Ronaldo justifies his alpha preening on the basis of 130 international goals, double the total of Harry Kane, England's record scorer. The problem is that he now turns each game for his country into a histrionic vaudeville act, with every misplaced pass and self-pitying pout setting off a starburst of smartphone flashes. He is so ungovernably famous that he attracts influencers whose sole purpose for attending his matches is to amplify the hero worship. This, of course, is absolutely what a narcissist would want. That not only are they broadcast around the world as a consequence of the football match that they're playing in, but they attract fans urging him on, but also wretched influencers and social media personalities that simply attend to create content hero-worshipping CR7. For instance, Svetlana Alexieva is a Russian social media personality, and she's created an entire industry out of the religion of Cristiano Ronaldo. As she filmed Ronaldo's successful penalty in the shootout against Slovenia, mitigating the pain of his earlier miss, she then turned the camera on herself to capture her carefully orchestrated awe. It might be suggested that a narcissist has been attracted to another narcissist. 2 of his free kicks sailed over the bar. The one goal he pretended to have scored was wildly offside. Vanya Druksic, a 24-year-old centre-back for Sochi, the Russian Premier League club who have just been relegated, all but marked him out of the game. But notwithstanding this underperformance, Cristiano Ronaldo flounced and pranced as if he were the one true saviour, peacocking his way around the pitch. Each time he failed to reach a ball that he would have buried 15 years earlier, he looked to the heavens as if cursing some celestial conspiracy. Perish the thought that these were simply the errors of an ageing star. Even his manager, Roberto Martinez, has been swept along by the narrative of Ronaldo the Untouchable, offering the world one last glimpse of his divine skill. For all his breadth of experience with 6 years in charge of Belgium, the 50-year-old sounded in the aftermath like some starry-eyed fanboy. I thanked him afterwards for being the way he is, for caring for the group, Martinez said. I was certain that he would be the first penalty taker and show us the way. I think we're all very proud of our captain. He gave us all a lesson. Lick, lick, ass kicks. This was quite the praise for someone who had produced a 4 out of 10 evening at best, and whom he would have had every right to substitute at half-time. Perhaps Martinez has learned from what happens to those who dare to treat Ronaldo like a mere mortal. Fernando Santos dropped him, perfectly justifiably, for a 2022 World Cup group game against Switzerland, which Portugal won 6-1. Not only did he lose his job straight after the tournament, despite reaching the quarter-finals, he divulged that Cristiano Ronaldo had blanked him ever since, imposition of silent treatment as a means of asserting control. As such, we now have the exaggerated alternate reality in which the manager treats a player who has failed to score with 59 of 60 free kicks in national colours like a living deity. Cristiano Ronaldo insists still on taking those free kicks. He does so to the detriment of his team, but that doesn't matter, because his narcissism tells him that he is the best, that he must take that free kick. And when he misses, well, it wasn't his fault. It was something else that caused him to miss. He doesn't take into account the necessity of thinking, is there somebody in the team who would be better placed to score? Perhaps I could put in a cross from this, rather than shoot for goal, that I could thread a ball through for somebody to run onto. No, he always shoots, because shooting and potentially scoring brings with it the adoration of the fans, which provides him with the fuel. Ronaldo is not there to pass it towards the goal, he's there to put it into the goal. When he stands there, puffing his chest out, ready to take that free kick, all eyes in the stadium are on him, just the way that his narcissism demands that it ought to be. While there might be many reasons to criticise the coverage of him missing a penalty, with, for instance, the BBC utilising the caption Missitano Penaldo, the fact is that Ronaldo has wept so often at the scene of intense personal struggle that it's quite clear that the emotion is not sincere. It is entirely performative and confected. He isn't crying because he's genuinely upset. He's crying because he's upset for himself, because he has not achieved what he wanted to, and therefore that amounts to a threat to control. Accordingly, his narcissism drives him to turn on the waterworks by way of a pity play so that people feel sorry for him. Look how much it has affected him. See how passionate he is for the team. Look how intensely involved he is. This is a man that loves Portugal. No, this is a man that loves himself. And thus, when he fails to make the net ripple, which amounts to a threat to control, his narcissism reacts by turning on those waterworks and creating the pity play. This is something that he has done repeatedly. Take the Euro 2016 final, for instance, when he came off after 8 minutes with a knee injury and promptly burst into tears. There will be those that don't recognise what he is. And of course, there are those players who are non-narcissists, who are genuinely upset at no longer being able to continue to participate. Disappointed. Unable to contain their emotions. But for Ronaldo, His disappointment is driven by his narcissism, which says, "You're no longer able to continue in this game," which of course is a threat to his need for control. "You now need to do something to nullify that threat to control. Cry." And so he does. The spectacle at that time smacked less of sorrow for the teetering Portuguese cause than of melancholy at his own diminished involvement, which of course is precisely what it was. This is a common thread through many of his theatrical reactions. His petulant kick at the turf when he was replaced during defeat by Georgia last week was a case in point. Nobody could be sure why he was even playing, given Portugal had already won the group. So was he lashing out at the humiliating scoreline? Or what failing to score in the group phase for the first time in 6 such tournaments would mean for his personal statistics? Of course, it's the latter. It wasn't the scoreline, it was the fact that he'd failed to score. He'd failed to make it all about him, and therefore his narcissism needed him to do something to make it all about him, resulting in the petulant kicking of the turf. The elongated autumn of Ronaldo's career has become the ultimate exercise in devotion to himself. Just as it strains credulity that he is paid £177 million a year to wind down the clock at the second best club in Saudi Arabia, it's even more extraordinary that Portugal must now shoulder the baggage of his oversized ego, yet again subordinating the collective to this one stunningly precious individual. But that is the way that it must be. There is no denying that Cristiano Ronaldo has had huge amounts of talent and continues to be a very good footballer, but he is not the titan he once was. But he cannot accept this. For instance, the way that he behaves in relation to free kicks. The routine is familiar. A team of Cristiano Ronaldo wins a promising free kick. Ronaldo steps up. He sets the ball down carefully, strides back with purpose, adopts his power stance, puffs out his cheeks and begins his run-up. Meanwhile, fans prepare for a forthcoming goal kick. The immovable object from Portugal's national team has scored a respectable 52 direct free kicks for his 5 clubs during a 22-year career. However, when wearing Portuguese colours, things are less rosy, especially in tournaments. 60 direct free kick attempts now from the 39-year-old at the World Cup and European Championship combined, a grand total of 1 goal scored. This selfishness is epitomised by his narcissism that tells him he must be the one to take the free kick, because of course it enables all eyes to be upon him. And invariably he fails to score, again and again. But just like many other narcissists, rather than take that as an indicator that perhaps he should hand the job of taking free kicks to somebody else, the compartmentalization of his narcissism simply dismisses what has happened in the past. It dissipates into the ether. Now is what matters. Now he will score. Oh, he has not done so. Well, it wasn't his fault anyway. And then to the next time, and to the next time, and to the next time. You might think that this is him attempting to prove a theory of showing how difficult it is to score from almost every other conceivable position, but of course it's not. It's all about him. The focus on his solitary success. That he wants to prove that he is the best. It's astonishing. For an outside observer, you can see the clutch of attempts to the far left of the box is particularly egregious. Who's scoring from there? Not Ronaldo. This was where his latest laughable attempt originated against Slovenia on Monday night, as you can see from the picture. He was trying to beat a 2-man wall and bypass the entirety of his team, minus goalkeeper, and approximately a fifth of the population of Slovenia. This insistence is driven by his narcissism. The selfishness, the self-absorption, the fact that he doesn't score. He's only done so once. That is ignored. And to the detriment of his team, he insists that he should be the one that is taking the free kicks. The fact is, He's aging. And he's aging in an arena where the world looks on at him. And he's aging in an arena where he once was at the very top of the tree. That is why I spent so much time going through all of his list of achievements, to cause you to understand just what this man has achieved. There is no taking away from the fact that he is a talented footballer and at one point was arguably the most talented in the world. For a narcissist to know that you are at the pinnacle of the football tree, that there is nobody better than you, that you've scored the most goals, that you've made the most appearances, that you've earned the most money, that you've created the most assists, that you've won all of these awards again and again and again, it reinforces the notion of being superior, ultra special, massively important. He is a narcissist that has the talent to back it up. And his narcissism and those achievements feed off one another. The desire to succeed is seized upon by his narcissism to compel him to pursue success, because that, of course, caters to the prime aims. It allows him to control millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the globe, receive massive amounts of fuel, access various character traits, and of course all of those residual benefits by making him extremely wealthy. The fame that comes with all of that caters to the prime aims. And in turn, his narcissism wants him to keep getting all of that. And thus, it drives him to be successful because the success makes life so much better for his narcissism. But he's not able to stay there. Even though he would be superior to most people on the planet playing football, the fact is, he's getting older. He's getting slower. He's not scoring the goals in the way that he did. He's not able to jump as high as he once did. His decision-making is perhaps a little bit slower. And thus, the twin threat of him losing his edge and younger players posing more of a threat threatens his status. His narcissism will not allow him to acknowledge that his powers are fading. Not at all. His narcissism cannot compute that another free kick has sailed into the crowd. This cannot be. This is CR7, a footballing god, destined for soccer immortality. Why is he not able to outrun that defender? Why did his pass not reach the intended target? How did he not score? The simple answer is that he is simply not as good as he once was. He is still a very good footballer, but his narcissism cannot accept that he has traversed the peak of his powers and that his abilities are in decline. Ordinarily, there would be no shame in this, for it comes to all athletes owing to the passage of time and the emergence of younger competitors. But for the narcissist, it threatens to shame him. It threatens his need, that inherent subconscious need for control. It threatens to expose him, not as numero uno, and this cannot be allowed to happen. It's not Cristiano Ronaldo who is that yard slower. The referee failed to see that his run was impeded. It's not his fault. It's not Cristiano Ronaldo who sent a wayward pass. His teammate failed to anticipate the forensic pass that he unleashed from his right boot and got it wrong. It wasn't his fault. That free kick should have burst the net. It's just that the defender got lucky by causing his right shoulder to deflect the ball for a corner. It wasn't Ronaldo's fault. Cristiano Ronaldo would have dribbled past 4 players were it not for the fact that they had to resort to fouling him, something the myopic referee missed. It was not Cristiano Ronaldo's fault. He is Cristiano Ronaldo, god of football, eternal champion, and he cannot understand why the success that once came so easily to him has started to become something of a stranger. It is not him. It is the opposition, the referee, the brightness of the floodlights, the heat of the day. The pitch was too slippery. And this generates a massive frustration for Cristiano Ronaldo, tainted with fear. The fear of falling from that pinnacle of achievement. He is the best. Do you hear? The best. The GOAT. And you had better understand that. When matters do not go his way, that is not because of some shortcoming on his part. No, it is the fault of others. Hence the petulant arm-waving, flinging himself to the floor like a toddler, turning on the waterworks, all things which are done to nullify the threat to control that has arisen as a consequence of him simply not being as good as he once was. All of those responses are those of a narcissist who is experiencing the waning of his powers, but is unable to accept that that is what is actually happening. The defending narcissism continues to tell him he is the best, and it is the fault of something else. Hence, he is justified in flinging his arms around in frustration, looking at the referee to beseech, "Did you not see I was fouled?" and crying because he feels wretched for the unfairness that means he is not winning, not scoring, not converting penalties. Rather than retire with grace and rightfully accept the adoration and praise for a magnificent career, he will, driven by his narcissism and inability to accept his fading powers, continue to fight against the dimming light of his brilliance. His narcissism whispers to him that he is still the greatest. You can do this, Cristiano. You can run, shoot, score, and win. Ignore the detractors. They have achieved nothing compared to you. The Saudi Arabian League a demotion? Nonsense. Look at how much they are paying you. They know your brilliance. Keep going. Another European Championships. You can do it. You can carry Portugal to glory. They are nothing without you. Forget that missed penalty. The keeper moved off his line and the referee missed it. Cry. Yes, cry. Let them see you weep so they know how committed you are to the cause. Even though, of course, you were crying for yourself. They won't know that. See how they call your name. You are loved. You are adored. You are CR7. You scored your next penalty. See, you are the GOAT. Think of all of those people posting about you around the world. You've still got it. See how you have single-handedly propelled Portugal into the next round. Let your detractors eat dust. Let them look on CR7 and explode with envy. Ignore the critics. What do they know? The lazy fat journalists who have never scored a goal in their lives. They wish they were you. They dream about being you and are racked by the envy that they don't have even an ounce of your ability. All they can do is criticize, for they cannot do. You are the doer, CR7. You are playing in the Euros against some players who were not even born when you undertook your first European Championships. That's how brilliant you are, because you are keeping going. Keep going, keep shooting, keep scoring, keep winning. Keep being CR7. It is this voice, his narcissism, which continues to drive him and make the excuses for his fading powers. He's not so deluded as that he doesn't see that he misses, that the pass doesn't get to where it should be, that he doesn't beat the player. He knows that it has happened, but he is blinded from accepting that this is a consequence of his power waning, that his power is fading, that his ability is becoming diminished. He still believes that he is as good as he was 15 years ago, and his narcissism reinforces that by telling him that where he doesn't succeed, it's simply not his fault. So rather than bow out in spectacular fashion, he will continue with his petulant displays, his self-centered performative crying, his spoiled brat reactions, and whilst ultimately his legacy will not be diminished, for those achievements very much speak for themselves, his narcissism will see him continue to rail against the fading powers, which it simply cannot tolerate the existence of, that it cannot allow him to accept their existence or comprehend that this is what is happening. So for Cristiano Ronaldo, narcissist that he is, as his fading powers repeatedly result in these bouts of frustration, petulance, and spoiled brat behaviours, for him, the end of his career will be with a whimper and a sob. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.